Kaz Grala is the winner, the youngest driver to win at Daytona in NASCAR National Touring Series history.
Joey Stone just picked up his first career win. Holy cow, what a finish.
All right, back at it. Another episode of All Clear after a crazy weekend at Bristol Dirt. I mean, we all knew it was going to be a crazy weekend, but I don't think we were ready for what was going to happen at the end of the Cup Series race. Truck race itself was really something as well. But diving into it, my name is Joey Stone. He's Kaz Grala, and we're the co-hosts of the podcast All Clear. Going to catch you up on all the stuff here over the NASCAR weekend from Bristol Dirt and so on throughout the season. You know who we are. Now let's get straight to the business here. Dude, I mean, we were talking about this, about Bristol Dirt, how it's going to get crazy. We think it's going to be an overall better product. And I think, but we were both right. I think we both saw a better product of racing, but Mother Nature had other plans for the Cup race that definitely halted the excitement, not only once, but twice as well. But, I saw that 4 million people watched the dirt race. It was the highest rated, highest viewed Bristol race since 2016. So that's a huge victory for NASCAR. But is it a huge victory for the fans and whatnot as well? We'll dive into that as well. Kaz, tell me what you thought about the entire weekend in a nutshell here. Crazy stuff.
Yeah, it was my first time seeing Bristol Dirt in person, and I thought it was really, really cool. Definitely a cool thing that they've done and something special. My thoughts on it are definitely mixed. Yeah, as a lot of the drivers have mentioned, and I feel the same way. Bristol's such a cool racetrack that you almost don't need to do anything to it, and it's cool, it's fun, it puts on a great show. The atmosphere is amazing. So I guess the question really is the TV numbers. They're huge, but was it because it was the first race they've done on Easter night? It was a very, very unique weekend for NASCAR. Usually they're off on Easter. And as we know, sports ratings are typically through the roof on holidays because people are home. People are in, food comas after eating Easter dinner early with their family, and they're hanging out.
I definitely was.
You throw on the race. It's the perfect thing to do. And almost everybody is home on a holiday or at someone's home on a holiday. You're typically not out. So gives a great opportunity for ratings to be high. But it's hard to say, were they high from the dirt or were they high because of the circumstances of the broadcast itself? And I guess we don't know. But I guess one thing we do know is, boy, was that an exciting finish. Really, really exciting. And so the fans that stuck it out through the 2 rain delays definitely got their money's worth and their time's worth for being able to see that show happen. And I will say, I got to commend NASCAR for restarting that race twice.
Oh, absolutely.
Because they had 2 perfectly fine opportunities to call that race and just say, that's it. Because they opened themselves up to some controversy. With the track being wet, sending cars back out. NASCAR's wheelhouse is not dirt. This is not really what our sport does often. It's not what our officials do, our race directors, our teams, or drivers. It's a little bit different. Way more foreign to NASCAR than it is to a lot of people across the country that dirt race regularly. So NASCAR took a bit of a risk restarting the race each time because they didn't know exactly what the dirt was going to be like when it was wet. Was it going to cake everyone's grills, cause everyone to overheat? And the second that happens, that doesn't look great on the sport. So, they also could have fired off down into turn 1 and had no grip and the whole field wadded up. They didn't really know what to expect, but I liked that they made the gutsy decisions to continue to restart the race regardless and see what happens. In the spirit of getting the full race distance in, because at the end of the day, a fan that buys a ticket or a fan that tunes in on TV, they tune in to see the whole race. They want to see the end of the race. And when that end gets cut early, you kind of end up lacking that excitement of the finish. It ends up being a little anticlimactic. So I'm really glad NASCAR pushed through and kept working the track and getting it ready to race, even though those windows were small on the radar. They did a great job. They got the race finished, and let me tell you, it was not anticlimactic at the end. I think it was exactly what any fan or anybody in the industry could have hoped that race ended like from an excitement standpoint. Our buddy Tyler probably did not wish that it ended that way specifically. But gosh, it was so cool to see Tyler and Chase, two of the best dirt guys, a couple of the most experienced and most successful dirt guys in NASCAR, duking it out for the win, ultimately handing it to Kyle Busch on a silver platter for the trophy. But
the irony in that, by the way, because Kyle Busch was the one who called out Alex Bowman for winning races in that particular way. And what does Kyle Busch do? He wins Bristol in probably the most ridiculous way I have ever seen in my life. We haven't seen something like that since, I think, Auto Club, I think, or when Busch won, when Hamlin and Logano took each other out in 3 and 4. He won Auto Club back then. So
Chase Elliott and I want to say Ryan Blaney, the Daytona Road Course Clash.
Oh my gosh, you're right.
For the win.
Kyle Busch. Kyle Busch.
So, look, sometimes that's how you got to win races. A win is a win. You'll take them any way you can get them. To go run third in a cup race is unbelievably difficult. So
it's hard to win a cup.
For him to be in that position to be able to capitalize and win when the two leaders take each other out is no less impressive. So, you'll take a win any way you can get it. But man, Tyler, he was so close. He was not only so close to winning the race because he led the last however many laps, but he was even close after getting spun. He lost by like a car length at the line, which I will say, if that race had finished to where Tyler had been able to somehow cross the stripe and still win after getting spun out, I would have to say that'd be the coolest finish to a race I'd ever seen in my life. And it was so close to happening because unbelievably, Tyler and Chase just killed the field so much that in only it was like a 30 lap finish, I think 30 lap run to the finish, something like that.
I think it was like 24, I think.
Was it?
24, 23 laps to go in the race, I think.
They had stretched so far at third place that they were almost able to spin out, continue, and still win. And I know Tyler, I'm sure coming out of 4, he was hopping up and down in his seat trying to hope that thing accelerated quickly enough to go win. But if that race had been 1 lap longer, I think Tyler would have won because they would have stretched far enough ahead of Kyle and just 1 more lap to where Tyler probably could have
sent it on Kyle Busch and maybe spin him out and pull the move.
Yeah. So it was definitely exciting to see at the end, but I think we got to break down the racing itself a little bit because, I'm not convinced about the dirt surface. I love that there's a dirt race in NASCAR. I think there should be. I don't know if it's this one. I don't know if I want it on Bristol because I felt like, and I was in the truck race, so I can tell you personally, man, you could not pass. You really, really couldn't pass.
It looked like
maybe 2 or 3 trucks and maybe 2 or 3 guys in Cup that had both the car and the knowledge to be able to make passes and move around. But the vast, vast majority of the field just kind of stayed where you settled in after restarts. And the top was so dominant on restarts that if you restarted in the top, you'd gain 2 or 3 spots. You restarted on the bottom, you'd lose 2 or 3 spots. And wherever you settled in at that point, you ran until the next yellow. Now, granted, this weekend was not short on yellows in either race, so I suppose that helped. But yeah, as soon as you strung out, just ride. It reminded me a lot of, well, we're going to see some of it this weekend, Talladega, when it strings out along the top. It's like, whoever the first guy is to duck out of line to try to make a move, no one goes with them, and they end up all the way at the back of the line. I had that happen to me several times in the truck race where I would have such a huge run on the guy in front of me, and I'd be like, all right, I'm going to take it. I got to do something with it. I can't just keep sitting here. So I take the run, can't get it. And now the line's closed up and I lose 6 spots for even trying to pass. And what I learned towards the end of the race was unfortunate, but don't try. Don't even try to pass. Literally just ride, just sit there and don't do anything. And every single time someone else will get impatient, try to make a pass, you'll roll past them.
Take advantage of it.
But I could not find any way to actively pass anyone. I had to just sit and wait until someone made a mistake and went to the bottom, and then we could roll by them. But I couldn't make a pass myself. So it was a tough weekend, a frustrating weekend. And then to top it all off, fittingly, I come off turn 4 to the checkered, which at Bristol is like, I don't know, 50 yards away. It's so close.
You can put your arm out pretty much, and you're already halfway through the distance.
Yeah. So I come off 4, finally about to finish the race, and there was no replay on TV, so I still have no idea who or what happened, but I just got absolutely demolished from my left rear, or from behind or something. It was either from my left side or behind, but I don't know. All I know is I was coming off 4, and all of a sudden I was looking at the noses of trucks coming right at me. And so our truck ended up wrecked at the end, lost a few spots. So that was frustrating, but just topped off an overall tough weekend for myself. But yeah, I think we need to take a hard look at the Bristol Dirt weekend. I know the ratings were great, but I don't know if the ratings would have been any different if it was just Bristol Concrete on Easter night. It may have been just as good, and potentially could have seen more passing, more changes of the lead, and people moving around a little bit more. So that's just my opinion, but I would love to see a dirt track on the schedule. I did Eldora a couple years ago in the truck series, and I thought that race was a blast. You could move around. It was difficult, but it was racy. Like, it was just I thought that was a great track. So I'd love to see the Cup Series, maybe go to Eldora someday or something like that. But I would probably keep our 2 Bristol races as is, because I do love those.
Yeah, and you touched on a lot of things right there about Bristol Dirt and whatnot. The ratings were great. I mean, we all saw the ratings, and highest viewed Bristol race since 2016, which you may think that's not long ago, but that's already 5 years. That's 5 years of Bristol races down the drain, because this one just beat them without any competition whatsoever. And that's even counting the playoff races, all that stuff. So is it dirt? Is it the Easter Sunday that they raced? We don't really know. And I like what you mentioned about the surface, right? I'm with you. I think there should be a dirt race in the Cup Series. It could be an exhibition race. It could be a cup race. It could even be the All-Star race, But again, that just comes down to what NASCAR wants to do. And hopefully, if it ever does change, it should come down to what the drivers want too. Because I noticed it when I was watching the truck race that it was really hard to pass. The only 2 trucks I saw, or 3, that could even make a few moves were like Ben Rhodes, who ultimately won the race. And it looked like the only time you could really pass was like on a restart, where like you could like dive into the corner if you had the run, because the line wasn't set up on the top yet. Everyone was still trying to get it all figured out, where you can just kind of get back in space if that pass didn't work. But I even noticed in the cup race too, that inside on restarts had no grip whatsoever. I mean, one name I think I mentioned, I didn't mention last week, but I mentioned during the race how good he was doing. Ty Dillon in the 42 drove up to like 4th or 5th place. And I was like, this is incredible for this team. This is awesome. I'm happy to see Ty doing good. And every restart, he started on the inside, and he went from like 5th to 9th to 13th to 16th. And I'm like, that inside sucks. You can't even pass down there. So I do approve NASCAR trying to do a dirt race. However, I don't personally like it at Bristol. I just think Bristol is one of those tracks you can't touch. You shouldn't touch that track, because the racing product that's already given with that track and the car that we have now, we should not have done dirt. We should have seen what these cars were going to do at Bristol in the spring race, and then see, okay, is there any way we can improve the short track package if we make one for the playoff race? Because we all saw what happened at Martinsville. So maybe they could look at it, get some more data for this car, but instead we did dirt. So it was kind of, to me, it was kind of a coin toss for NASCAR. Do we do a dirt race with this car, or do we do we move it to a different track or do something different, like an exhibition race, right? I love Eldora. I think the cup race at Eldora was a great idea, but I think there's a little bit of drama in that. I know with Tony Stewart owning Eldora and SRX going there now, I think that caused a little tension, I think, because I think Tony really wanted NASCAR to go to Eldora for the cup race, but they kept holding it off for so long. And then SRX was like, well, Tony Series pretty much with Ray Abraham was like, let's do it. So, I don't think NASCAR wants to compete against SRX. I don't think they want to do that. So I think that's kind of out the window. Some people recommended, though, and I saw this on Twitter, some people want Richmond to possibly have dirt on it because it sort of has a little bit of a configuration where you can do dirt, but at the same time, it's a coin toss because Richmond's a bit longer of a track. It's going to be, it would be a weird kind of dirt race, but is there a track out there you think that you'd want to be a dirt race for the Cup Series that you know about?
Honestly, I don't know if I love the Richmond idea because Richmond for me is one of my favorite tracks. I think it's fun. You've got the tire wear, the strategy. It's a challenge. It's a short track. Like you can move people out of the way. I like Richmond how it is. I don't know if I'd want to touch it. And honestly, part of what I feel like hurt Bristol this weekend is it's almost too big and fast of a dirt track. I don't think that you're ever going to get the action and the passing that you want to see from a dirt race with that fast of a dirt track. I think there's just too much throttle time there. I'd rather see it go to a smaller place like in Eldora. So that brings me to the only tracks I would want to see maybe making changes at would be some of the 1.5 miles that there are a lot that can get monotonous and similar to each other, but certainly the last thing you want to do is cover 1.5 miles in dirt. So maybe you find 1.5 miles that has a dirt track at it, and maybe you run it there. I know Charlotte has a dirt track.
I was just going to say, I think Charlotte has a dirt track literally right next to it. And we've seen it. I've seen it.
I wouldn't do it at Charlotte because they've already got the Coke 600, which is a cool event that should, live forever.
Yeah, you can't touch that.
And now they do the Roval. So Charlotte's already done a great job at diversifying their two events. But there's got to be another track that we go to at some point. Twice.
I think Vegas has one.
Yes.
I think Texas has one too.
Texas does, but Texas is down to one date because of the All-Star race. So yeah, I don't mind the idea of perhaps Vegas. And Vegas has actually done a K&N race on their dirt track before. I think that could be a great place to do it. So that would be my opinion is when you put NASCAR on dirt, put them on dirt at a dirt track. Leave the rest of our schedule, but maybe switch the date. Bruton Smith owns 2 dates with Vegas. He owns the dirt track there too. It would be okay for him to move one to the other. I guess the question is infrastructure, grandstands, can it accommodate for it to be a probable decision to move it from the other? But that's way above my pay grade to know or to worry about. So I would love for somebody to someday make that decision. And I think it would be great to see. And I think a track like that, a more typical dirt track that's got a little less banking, a little smaller, a little bit shorter, more action type racetrack, I think you're going to see a better race than Bristol dirt. And I can tell you from my own perspective, I think handling mattered a lot more at Bristol than it did when I drove at Eldora. At Eldora, I felt like everything was pretty evened out at Eldora. They call the draft the great equalizer at Daytona and Talladega. I felt a little bit like the dirt was the great equalizer at Eldora, and I assumed it'd be the same way going into Bristol, but I learned making you handling right there was really, really important, way more important than I thought it would be. So it was not at all driver at Bristol. The car mattered a lot. And I struggled with that. And frankly, that was why my weekend was as tough as it was. As an asphalt guy, I don't know much about dirt racing. I know how to drive it, and I feel like I'm pretty decent at driving it. I actually did feel like I did a good job this weekend. And I think a lot of that honestly comes from iRacing because I basically learned how to dirt race on iRacing, but I always do fixed setup races. So I'm just working with what everyone else has. I got to Bristol and felt like I was driving okay, but my issue was I didn't know what to ask for in the car. The dirt guys know what the field they're looking for is. They know how to get there, what adjustments to make. And I have that on asphalt because that's what I do. But I didn't know exactly what I wanted my truck to feel like for Saturday night. And I definitely didn't know or have the experience of, well, how do I think the track's going to change beginning to the end of the race? What does that mean we need to change on our truck to be able to keep up with that? I was just kind of winging it on all of that stuff. I don't know that stuff off the top of my head. So we were just always a step behind all weekend on our handling because I didn't know what to ask for or what to anticipate. So I think that's why you did see a lot of the dirt guys rise to the top in the two races and be able to maybe pass a little better, move around a little bit better, and run up front in the races. So definitely felt like I was at a disadvantage, but I learned a lot. And I do think if we were to do it again, I would be better than I was this time. But I didn't know exactly what I was in for over the weekend. As they say, I didn't know what I didn't know, but now I do. So I'll be ready for the next one, hopefully. And there will be a next one for me because I'll be running Knoxville in the truck in a few weeks. So
Hey, how about that?
Way different track. That's like what I'm talking about. That's a short track, dirt track, true dirt track. Way different than Bristol.
Do you think Cup Series can go to Knoxville?
I don't know. I haven't been to Knoxville before. I'm honestly unfamiliar with what the track's even like. So I got to see the place first. I got to see the grandstands and see the layout of the track. From what I heard from guys, it's so tight that it almost is a little chaotic.
I'll say, wasn't last year the dirt race that was like 15 cautions there, and like yes. I think only like there was like 4 trucks that were even clean at the end of that race.
I think there was like 8 attempts at a green white checker.
I think that's what that was.
I remember several times looking like Martinsville turn 1 in the Xfinity race a couple weeks ago, where like the entire track was blocked and the last 15 guys were just stopped because
they couldn't go
no hole up ahead. So I don't know if that could accommodate a Cup race properly. But I'll be able to tell you once I race there. I'll say if I think that that's something that it could hold in the future. But a track like that kind of idea, I think would be really, really good for the Cup Series. But leave my Bristol alone.
I'm gonna hold you to that. First, after that Knoxville weekend, first thing I'm gonna ask you is, Kaz, should the Cup Series go to Knoxville? You're probably gonna be like, no, or something like that, probably. But still talking about the dirt here, obviously, which is, the biggest one of the big topics from the dirt race was the finish between Chase Briscoe and Tyler Reddick. We saw what I think anybody would have done. You want to go for the slide job, right? It's for a win at Bristol, one of the greatest venues in NASCAR. You got to go for it. I think, you and I were both cheering for Tyler. Like when those laps were winding down and I saw Chase getting closer, I told myself, okay, he's not just going to sit there behind and bump him on the top. He's going to send it in. I know it's going to happen. But what's Tyler going to do? Is he preparing for it? Is he going to block the bottom? Is he going to send it in more to get away from Chase? And we saw what happened. Chase Briscoe dives it in. He goes a little bit lower than I think he probably should have went because Tyler gave him room on the bottom, but I don't think Chase was expecting him to give room. He gets in kind of like that dirty, the irony, the dirty area of the track where there's no grip, loses control of the car, shoots up, hits Tyler in the left rear quarter panel. Tyler is trying to Tokyo drift this thing to the finish. They both spin around. Kyle Busch gets past, beats Tyler Reddick by 1 car length at the line. Tyler almost did a spin and win. Would have been so cool. And after the race, though, we all thought that we were about to see Chase Reddick. I just said Chase Reddick. I'm keeping that in the pocket. I cannot believe I just said Chase Reddick. I'm keeping that in the show. I'm keeping that right there. That for anyone that doesn't know, but it's before we record this thing, I went and did some stuff this morning. I had to go do some errands and I passed out and I just woke up. Willie woke up, put the show together. It's like, all right, let's get this show on the roll. So I think that's my one little warning of like, hey, you were really tired this morning. But we all thought Chase Briscoe and Tyler Reddick were going to have a fight on pit road because I mean, why wouldn't you be mad, right? I mean, you just got wrecked in turn 3 and 4 at Bristol. You have the win plain in sight, your first career cup win right in front of you after so many times that you should have won. You think you were about to see Sam Mayer versus Ty Gibb again. But no, it didn't happen because Tyler Reddick and Chase Briscoe are smiling at each other, shaking hands, like the crazy amount of sportsmanship I have seen after a finish like that. I've never seen guys first and second place take each other out and shake each other's hands and smile at each other and talk and separate and part their ways like that in the friendliest way possible. What was your reaction when seeing that? I wanted to, as a driver, you know, you've been in a situation where you've gotten taken out in first. It's happened to you. I don't think you wanted to be smiling and shaking hands. You know, tell me what you thought about that whole thing there, because I thought it was a great example of pure sportsmanship right there. Two great guys in the garage. Tell me what you think about it.
Yeah, I was really excited after the race to continue to see the interviews and see what would happen, because I didn't know myself. I know both Tyler and Chase. I'm actually good friends with both of them, and neither one of them is the fighting type.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they have an immense amount of respect for each other as dirt racers, and so I didn't know what to expect. But at the same time, I thought, if that happened to me, I'd be pretty mad. And if there's ever a cause for a fight, it was probably that. Especially, I mean, you think of the circumstances, right? Tyler is trying to get his first cup win. And how many times has Tyler come close to it? And we feel like he deserves it, like he's ready for it, he's poised, and he's in position finally. He's there. He takes the white flag in the lead. He's been leading the last 30-something laps. This is the time. And sure enough, Chase, who has a win already this year, he has gotten that first cup win, goes into the corner, wipes him out, and he doesn't get that win. That's cause for a fight. But the two of them, they're good guys. And I will say one thing about Tyler that I think makes him so incredibly likable is, if you notice, all sorts of circumstances that have happened in his career, different races, he never, ever defaults to blaming the other person or his team or anybody else. He will always be the first guy to take blame for anything, and look inward and say, well, how could I have done a better job? I think that is an incredible quality for an athlete to have. I think it makes him likable, but I think it makes him successful too, because he's going to look back at this race and say, if I were to do this over again, how could I do something differently so that doesn't happen again? Rather than just leaving the weekend pissed off saying, oh, I won that race. That's crap. You know, we'll go back next year, I'll win it again. No, he's going to look at it. He's going to get better from it. He's going to learn from it, even though he came out in such an unfortunate circumstance there. He will 100% be better next time because of it. And I think that's a cool quality to have. So I wasn't totally surprised to see Tyler take the blame for it. And I do agree with him. I mean, look, it's hard to say it in that position, but the truth is, hey, if he didn't let Chase catch him, that wouldn't have happened. So to some degree, you can say Tyler had some influence in that situation becoming possible at the end. So I'm sure next time he'll either be a little less conservative or a little more conservative, whatever he feels like was necessary to have maintained his lead better towards the end there, so that Chase wouldn't have been in a position to do that. And from Chase's point of view, I don't disagree with it. Like, look, it doesn't matter if he's gotten his first cup or not. Cup wins are not easy to come by. You never know when your last one's going to be. If you're going down the back straightaway 6 inches off the bumper of the guy in front of you, and you know in 7 seconds somebody's going to win a cup race, how do you not go for it? You have to. In fact, I think Chase would have taken a lot of crap if he didn't go for it, because that's what we're here to do. That's what fans are tuned in to see. We want to see guys going for wins. That's what motorsports is. So he had to try. The one thing I can fault him for is, having been on track this weekend and knowing what the surface was like and how it developed during the race, there was no grip on that bottom. looking at his move, I don't see any way that was going to work out. But you had to try something. It's just that I think, to me, the absolute best scenario for Chase to have played out would have been he went to the bottom, totally slid, didn't even close to make the corner, but instead catches Tyler even on the door, pulls the old 8 tires are better than 4, and maybe, squeezes Tyler up into the wall. I'm sure they would have ended up all out of shape in each other's doors, and then maybe could have tried to drag race him to the line.
Cars get stuck to each other and just go straight down for a photo finish.
Or that would have been awesome.
That would have been crazy.
But in my opinion, with what he did into 3, there was simply no scenario under which they didn't make contact. But unfortunately, he did make contact at an angle that was worst case scenario. Not only wrecked our leader, Tyler Reddick, spun himself too, and definitely was not an ideal outcome for either of those guys. It ended up being even worse for Chase because Tyler did get spun back around, finished second still. Chase, I don't even know if he got refired.
I think he finished like 21st or 22nd from what I saw.
Yeah. So I think he fell to the tail end of the lead lap there, and he's got to be disappointed in that, knowing he had a chance. But if you're on his, you got a driver that's going for wins, and that's what you want. You don't want a guy that's going to settle in for second, just drive through the last corner and say, "Yeah, it's good enough, we'll get points." No, you want to have a driver that's going to go for it, and Chase is absolutely that guy, and Tyler is absolutely that guy. If the roles had been reversed, you think Tyler wouldn't have tried something funky in 3? Absolutely, he would have, and he should have. So I think what we saw was a great race between 2 unbelievably talented dirt racers. At the end of the day, everyone sitting in the grandstands and everyone tuned in on TV is watching to see exactly that. So it did deliver at the end there. Any comments about the track surface or if it should have dirt on it aside, we saw a great race and a great finish. So that was really cool.
Yeah, and I mean, and the way I see it, if you're driving for Tony Stewart or Richard Childress Racing, you got hired to win, right? Not to sit behind. If you're Chase Briscoe, you have a dirt racing background, you're telling yourself, I can get him. I can win this race. If you're Tyler, you're saying to yourself, I got this. I can hold him off. I can do it. Just 2 really good dirt drivers in general that are just very, very good, who are future faces of the sport, in my honest opinion, already kind of faces of the sport, that they're going to progress as time goes on, just going for it. And they both understood the situation. I think Tyler knew, he told himself that, hey, I could have drove it a little bit harder there those last few laps to try to pull away, because we saw a few times that Chase messed up. Chase got into the dirty part of the dirt, and he lost 3/10 right there. And there was twice it happened. I think everyone said right there, that's it. Tyler's got it. He's got it. You can't make that gap up. But I think Tyler was just being a little conservative, which you can't blame the guy. You can't blame him with all the rain that was on the track earlier. You don't want to hit a part of the track and you get shot up into the wall just because you're over driving it by just like a tenth or two. So it was just a situation kind of thing. I think Tyler did the best thing, but he also could have drove a little harder. I think Chase Briscoe did what he was supposed to do, but he just went a little too deep. He went a little bit lower than he probably should have. He probably didn't expect Tyler to give him the bottom, which he did if you look at it. So it was just one of those racing situations. And I think Tyler knew it when he spun. I think Chase Briscoe even knew afterward. He said, yep, he's probably going to punch me, but he didn't. And Chase had an interview with someone walking up to Tyler's car, and Chase even said, look, if he punches me in the face, I deserve it. He literally said, he's probably going to punch me and I deserve it. And he didn't punch him. They laughed, they shook hands. And I think the last thing Tyler said was just make sure you don't do it again. So that's just 2 really good guys. They're 2 good pals, great talents on the track. It's everything you could have asked for. Honestly, a typical fan probably would have loved to see a fight. That's just part of short track tempers. But I think we can write down on paper now, if Chase Briscoe and Tyler Reddick ever get into an altercation, do not put money on them having a fist fight. It probably will not happen, especially after that one. We're getting closer.
And I'm a strong advocate too of not fighting off the track. Fight on the track, because you know what? The next time Tyler is in second and he's racing Chase for a win, no dirt road course.
Oh, you have
whatever
full
it is.
permission. You have full
Yeah,
permission now. And I hope
100%.
Tyler tells that to himself. It's like, hey, I'm not going to fight you here, but if you're right there for my first career win, I am bumping you out of the way without any hesitation. And Chase cannot be mad at him for it.
Yeah, he's got a pass to do that, whether it's for his first win or his fourth win or whatever. Tyler owes him one. So I hope to see Tyler give it back, just because I think that would be right and reciprocal. And I agree, Chase can't be mad. I don't even think Chase would be mad, because at the end of the day, Chase can say for a fact he cost Tyler a win this weekend, is what it is. I think Tyler owes him that one. And I know Tyler. I don't think he's going to start punching you on pit road. But is he going to do everything he can on the racetrack to beat you? Yes. And if that includes him owing you one, then you're going to get that back. So I don't think we've seen the last of this, but we do know it's two guys that have a lot of respect for each other and race each other the way you should race each other, hard, laying it all on the line. We're going to see a lot more of that out of those two.
I think we probably should have told each other that Tyler wasn't going to throw a punch because he didn't have his boxing gloves with him. But he didn't have his boxing gloves. He said he packed them for Martinsville. I guess he didn't pack them for Bristol. So no fight, NASCAR fans. But hey, I mean, at the end of the day, it's kind of good we didn't have that too. Just two good guys going for it. What better could you ask for right there? And I think we're going to see this carry on later on as well. But speaking of later on, heading into the next week, I think we talked enough about the Bristol Dirt Race. The main things we talked about there was how great TV ratings, but is it the race that should be staying there? We talked about that. Tyler and Chase, obviously a good race, but should Bristol be the dirt race? It was the main thing. That will be a topic that I think will be discussed for months to come, and heading into what now will be the third race next year. Will NASCAR stay at Bristol Dirt for years to come, or will they experiment with a different track? Only time will tell. But heading into next week, Talladega, and our buddy Kaz, of course, you're driving in the 48 car. Great opportunity for you. Technically, it is RCR equipment, so you got yourself some good stuff going on there for Dega. Tell us what you're thinking about it, buddy. And let's preview Talladega here. Let's talk about how you're feeling, and we'll kind of dive into what we think the Cup race is going to look like.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. This is going to be my first time driving for Big Machine Racing in the 48 car back in Xfinity. It's actually been a number of years since I've been in an Xfinity race. It's been 4 years.
I think wasn't your last race. Your last race was the Roval, I think.
Xfinity race or restrict.
Oh, I'm sorry, Xfinity race, yeah, but
Xfinity, I've been in 3 of them this year, but my last restrictor plate race that I ran in Xfinity was 2018. That was when I ran a show car, Stuart Haas show car for Fury Race Cars. We started last and put that thing up in 5th. So
wait. You drove a show. Wait. When was this? A show car?
Yeah, 2018 Fury Race Cars. I was running part-time with them in Xfinity. We ran a dozen races with Fury, and we had a short track car, an intermediate car, and a road course car. Our team did. We did not have a super speedway car. We wanted to go run Daytona. We had sponsorship for it, so we asked around as to who had a super speedway car laying around, and nobody had any extras. But Stuart Haas said, we got this one show car that used to be a super speedway car for us. But look, if you bring it back to us in the same condition we give it to you, just so we can rewrap it again and take it as a show car, then yeah, you can race it. They didn't even rent it to us. They just let us use it. Said, bring it back the way you got it. And we're like, yeah, that's fine. We'll do that. So we put our wrap on it. We took it to Daytona. We got a top 5, not a scratch on it. We peeled our wrap off, sent it in a trailer back to Stuart Haas.
That's hilarious. I didn't know that was a show car. Why isn't this a story? Why isn't this a story?
It was. I'll send you the article.
Okay, good.
Jalopnik wrote an article about it. And that article made their 2018, I think it was top 10 motorsports stories of the year. And I think it was top 20 stories. 17 of the 20 stories were Formula One. And then me getting a top 5 in a show car at Daytona was one of the other 3 top stories.
That still needs to be a story at this relevant time, though. You drove a show car to what? Okay, I got to read this article. Okay. I can't get too sidetracked. My mind is blown away right now
Yeah.
from that. That is crazy. But
so
yeah,
this weekend, on the flip side, not driving a show car, driving 48 car for Big Machine Racing, which just might become a show car if we go put that thing in Victory Lane this weekend.
let's hope so.
But you know, I'm really excited to work with these guys. Everyone on that team, it has been so nice, so welcoming so far. Super excited about this. We've got high hopes. And this will be the first time in years I've run a super speedway race where my instruction from the team is not to ride and finish, but to race up front. We are going to get to race all day long. We're going to be doing everything we can with the 48 car to put it up front, keep it up front, put it out front. And we're gonna really race for the win and do what we can. And if we go down trying, we go down trying, but we're gonna leave it all out there. So
you need to lead at least one lap, man. Just one. I got to see that 48 up front. I got to see that graphic pop up. I got to see Kaz Grala 48 new leader. I need to see it happen once.
I will do everything I can. And I know everyone on the team is behind me on that. That our goal is simple. We want to race up front. We want to race for the win. So should be a fun weekend. And I'm excited for it for this weekend, next weekend in Dover with the 48 car. Some cool stuff coming up. So Bristol was a disappointing finish to the weekend, but got some good tracks with a great team to try to rebound over the next couple of weeks. So I'm ready for it.
Absolutely. Hey, I can't wait to see this. I can't wait to personally see this race on Saturday too. That's going to be loads and loads of fun. And, you know, I'll be doing a little bit more than just watching. So that's always cool as well. But previewing Sunday as well, we always pick our winners. And Kaz, my man, you were so close to picking the right winner. You chose Tyler. Spin and win almost happened. I chose Kyle Larson. He ran good too. Just kind of came down to the scenario. But who do you got for Sunday, my man? What are we thinking for Sunday?
Let's not forget though, my guys still did beat your guys, so I won.
Yeah. You won. You got lucky. You're lucky Tyler can wheel a car after he spins.
But Talladega, I mean, gosh, that's such a hard one to predict. So much can happen, but I'm gonna go with Brad Keselowski. I feel like the RFK cars were really strong at Daytona. They actually won the duels this year. And had great speed, great maneuverability, and obviously Brad is unbelievably good at super speedway racing. So I'll say him.
All right, good pick right there. You know, I was kind of going with the Penske pick. I was looking at Ryan Blaney. It's always a safe bet. He's a fantastic plate racer. You can really go with anybody, but you know what? I'm going to go with someone who hasn't really had the most successful season, but he has won here before. Give me Bubba Wallace in the 23. I like Bubba as a plate racer. He's shown a lot. He almost won the 500 this year. He's finished second at Daytona 3 times. He's won at Talladega. To me personally, right now, he is borderline top 5 when it comes to super speedway talent right now in the Cup Series. I think he's learned some things, and it would be cool to see that 23 go up there and win it without a rain delay. So I got Bubba Wallace winning the race this weekend. Ryan Blaney right there near him too.
I love it. We got 2 wild card picks going to a track where a wild card is possible. So should be fun to see who shakes out ahead.
It should be a fun weekend for sure, guys. But guys, that is going to do it today for All Clear. We talked about a lot of awesome things. Make sure to cheer on Kaz this Saturday as he's racing at Talladega, and make sure to enjoy all the racing and catch up on everything so you guys can know what we're talking about next week. But guys, that's going to do it. He is Kaz Grala. I am Joey Stone. And now you are officially all clear for this weekend's action all the way to Talladega. We'll see you guys next episode. Take care, everyone.
Kaz Grala is the winner, the youngest driver to win at Daytona in NASCAR National Touring Series history.
Joey Stone just picked up his first career win. Holy cow, what a finish.